Welcome everyone to another episode of Price Targets with your host Bitcoin Jack. Welcome back. It's Friday, it's expiration day, which means that this monthly futures and the monthly options expired or will still expire in a couple of hours. We have Deribit, which expires at 8 a.m. UTC, so that was 10 o'clock my time, Central Europe time. And then a little bit later today we'll see CM also expire. There's been, last night I was looking at it and I was trying to figure out how things were positioned. There was like a slight worry in me that there was still some short hedges that had to be unwound into the expiration. There's the dealers had to pay out quite a bit of money after the expiration, very bit. It seems that maybe that has already been absorbed. I'm going to be looking at that in a little bit later. Two things. I have a bunch of people walking through my house doing some painting shit and stuff, so there might be some noise. Just try to ignore that. And the other thing is, we've been doing these streams for such a long time already now, and I always enjoy doing them. I have this sponsor called Prime XBT, an exchange where you can margin trading on a bunch of stuff like crypto and FX and commodities like gold, etc., stocks. If you enjoy these videos, consider signing up with the ref link in the description below and use the promo code BitcoinJack to get a deposit bonus. And let me know if you like the exchange. Like, I've been using it for like scalping, and there's some pluses, there's some minuses. Let me know what you want to see changed. Yeah, thank you Prime XBT for sponsoring. Moving on to Bitcoin, we're obviously still trapped, and it's kind of been it's been difficult. It's been choppy. The lines. In our last video, price was here, and we were talking about either shorting this level or up to the 0.786, with the note that any short buyers would be wrong above here. So far that kind of seemed to have worked out, though it's not been very easy considering this thing happened. So that was, I don't know, like how you guys deal with these kind of things, but when I kind of see a wick like this occur, I will always try and close my position into most immediate resistance, which in this case was this one here. What would have been really painful is this kind of closing back into the range, and then without going up here, kind of come down on magnet. Okay, do like this and then come down again, then reject it. Now the big question is, are we still ranging, or is this kind of rolling over? To me, I still think there's weakness in this market. Like, I would have expected, if this was the go signal, then I would have wanted to see at least, this to break the level where we sold off to, and then just come up here and then break out, right? But in my opinion, there's still weakness. It's, it kind of feels similar to how this has remained resistance. So to draw that out, generally you have a sell-off, and have this like last final puke acceleration, have this kind of consolidation, and it always depends on how sizey it is, but the sizier it is, more important is going to be, and that's the one you pick. So in this case, this one here came down, and then you had this like final capitulation of the rally to support a bearish buy. Generally you're always going to try and short the retest of that, but what sometimes happens is this, it goes above it straight away, which essentially means that either market makers, we're not in the market and don't have anything they bought here and don't have to rebalance their books, and not just market makers but just general participants as well. If you have like this consolidation, then the final puke, and you get rejected up here, obviously, if you test this often enough, you're gonna break it to the upside, and then may have, that may have been your bottom. But have like this, just dangling, and then have the rollover, right? Personally, I still think we're dealing with the ladder. With let me just delete this quickly. Personally, that's where I think we're at. I could be wrong, but I'm going to talk about a few reasons why I think that is. A, because this thing has been consolidating like in the top half of this capitulation range. So generally you would see a slow bleed into the 618, 786, slightly slope like this to the downside, and then break the creek. The other thing is that ETH is just looking incredibly weak, right? How do we know things get invalidated? There's a few ways to approach this, but generally, we can look at the slope of the supply. So what we can say is that we have a high here, then we have a high here, then we have a high here, a couple of highs actually, then a high here, and they're all lower, right? So supply is getting presented to the market at lower levels, and obviously there's like an infinite bit, it seems, around here for the last 2 weeks. The fact that we've been ranging in the top half of this, and this is just coming down, makes me believe that this wants to please come here and here. And I still believe that the broader market structure is bearish, and that if we zoom out enough, just quick find this, go to daily or something. Perhaps perhaps I want to grab the weekly. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab the weekly here real quick to show what I want to show. Let's see if this works. This is the weekly level, right? We're below it. Well, see. Second, we do that. In my opinion, this is one close below it, right? This week here closed at the level. Have one here. So you can still have a similar situation where we just come down here and break it. And in my opinion, if that's going to happen, this is the long you play. But I do think that this is distribution, and is this okay? So the other thing is that you see how little volume being traded here on the way up. Now we have a high volume wick here, so there's a lot of conviction right here to buy. And then if we come down here, it's probably gonna unwind unless somebody steps in with a lot of money. It kind of does look different than this, right? And the other thing is how much money, especially if we consider the macro, is wrong once we start to move lower, and is starting to unwind their positions into the market. That makes sense. But back to the hourly on Bitcoin, we're seeing rejection here. I'm gonna go to ETH. My brain, I don't know what's going on with my brain, but it's not my best video, guys. Just bear with me today. Trying to drink coffee. So pretty much the play I've been outlining for, I don't know, like a month now, maybe even longer. I think it was around here that I've started to pick up on the idea to short once we would break this, short in the blue box. Zoom out a little bit on it. Now let me delete this line for a second. All right, this is the kind of level that kept us going for, let's see, okay, so let's say we started consolidating the consolidation structure in May 21. It's a year ago. We've been consolidating for a year, and this has been the level that right here made a new high versus this one, and it kept up. Now it's broken, and we're coming down to retest the monthly level for, let's say this is 1. Well, let's say this is 2 times, like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th test. No, actually the 4th. If we don't really count this because there's still a little gap here. I don't think that's gonna hold particularly well. Let me see if I have the same chart here. Yes, I do. So essentially, the next level would be 0.06, 0.055. If that doesn't hold, don't get like some kind of like deviation. I do think that this is just a giant. Oh, I have been thinking that for a while. This is a giant distribution pattern, in my opinion. And then it's I'm being nice when I say this is going to be the bottom 0.04. Could be way worse. This is so much volume traded, and actually you see volume hasn't been going down here, but it's just all distribution. So we're going to have to pick that up at some point to the downside again. Okay? But that's my reasoning on Bitcoin and on ETH. I think it's just general market weakness. And then there's someone who messaged me like, "Hey Jack, why have you changed your mind because the S&P 500 is rallying and it's decoupling?" Well, first of all, I think there's a question you can ask yourself whether we're actually decoupling. We're just having a different consolidation pattern, right? This is sideways since the start of May, and Bitcoin is sideways since the start of May. Okay, does it make sense for the S&P 500 and Bitcoin to kind of have a different kind of structure locally? I do think it does, because look at the left here. There's a volume gap, so price tends to trade into these. It also, once it trades through them, it tends to kind of, flip them as support and resistance. The other thing that price likes to do generally is spend some time in the zone, just to I don't know, price efficiency. I don't really have a full theory on it, but we just see it a lot of times. Go back to, I can show you Bitcoin, where this kind of happened. See how this kind of, was a place where we had very little trading action up until we actually came back down to it, and then we decided just to, like bounce around it so much to essentially fill up the void. And you could maybe draw this slightly larger, this, right? But it's really hard to get to spend some time in it to balance out. If that makes sense. So back to the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. Are they, like, in the last couple of days going into different directions? Yes. Do I think they're decoupling? No. Do I think they will decouple at some point? Absolutely. Is that going to be anytime soon? I don't know. What I do know is two things here. We didn't quite reach the target here. We just decided to come back up here. But the setup still remains pretty much the same to me. We had this trade ID into this level here last week, which accelerated to the downside a lot faster than I initially anticipated, and now it's actually back up here. So I don't see any reason, especially since this was kept at this here and now we actually managed to get above it. I don't see any reason why the zone here is not going to provide a similar short opportunity as we had last week. To get in a little bit of nitty-gritty detail on that, on a slightly lower time frame, let's get rid of this. We had a gap here to the left, which is filled. We actually gapped through it again. I do think that we're going to come back down and nuke through it. So essentially, let's grab the latest gap here. We have a level here from the left. Going to be a bit of juggling around this level. Maybe it can go up to red, but I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I think that the high is very close here. And mind you, this is end of month expiration kind of price action, so people are trying to sorry, get themselves out of harm's way here. Expiration. But I do think that if this starts to come down below again, it's going to provide a retest, or maybe it doesn't, but theoretically, ideally, that's what it does. And then it's going to come down back here again, probably going to bounce a little bit, and then into, I think, like early next month, should actually continue to levels below. Okay? I'm not particularly worried about this rally being a bullish rally. It's just a bearish rally, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm biased. I will be wrong in the future, but that's the way I see it. I hope that made a lot of sense. Maybe it didn't, then that's the end of it. I think I just need a little bit more sleep. I'm going to be busy partying tomorrow, so I don't expect too much out of me this weekend. I do have a fun announcement to make though. It's still a little bit of a secret. I really cannot give any details about it, but it seems that I'm going to be doing a live stream every Sunday evening with a new partner. So that's something I'm looking forward to. We're going to be able to, do like an hour stream where you guys get to ask questions and I try to answer them. And I'm making this new PC build to make sure that it's going to be the highest quality stream that we can create. So excited for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Another shout out to Prime XBT for sponsoring. And guys, if you haven't, consider checking them out using the ref link in the description below. It helps me, it helps them. So would very much appreciate that. And I hope you guys will have a great weekend. See you later.